Hi, I'm part of this week's episode of Podiatry Marketing. With me today is Big Jim Mack. How you doing today, Jim?
I'm doing fantastic, Tyson. Thanks for the great intro as always. How's things down under?
Down under. Yeah, it's weird how they refer to it as down under. I suppose it's down under the equator, isn't it? Pretty much.
It is. Yeah.
So I only just thought about that. Why do they say that? Anyway, no, all good here. And I'm looking forward to today's topic. What is it? What are we talking about?
Yeah. The topic today is a fun one. Is marketing a dirty word? And
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those things I think that even when I was starting my marketing business where I, provide digital marketing services for podiatrists, do I put that in my name? Like, can I say that's a podiatrist? We are in healthcare, right? So
Yeah.
even me going through residency, being in practice, it's not something that I had to really learn all that much until, later on. So I think it is one of these words where, I wouldn't say it totally turns people off, but they're kind of like, they hear it and sometimes their brain shuts down or their ears turn off because it's not something that people are always super excited to I think, you and me like to talk about it and people that are in private practice, but I think the podiatry profession as a whole is kind of disparate and there's different kind of people practicing in different ways. So sometimes
Mhm.
people hear that word podiatry marketing, just marketing and not for me. So we're going to talk a little bit about why that is. And then we'll jump into some ways that, you and I both see, what marketing is and how it can benefit a practice and patients. So.
I always find it funny when people, well, podiatrists will say, "Oh no, I'm not into marketing," and I'm like, "Yeah." And I'll say, "Do you have a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, both, mistress, whatever?" And they go, "Well, yeah, okay." So you had to do some form of marketing. You had to do some form of marketing, put yourself there to make people know make them aware that you're available. All you're doing with your podiatry clinic is make them aware of the service. But it's true. People they see the word marketing, and I think straight away they're thinking like the salesperson doing marketing. Oh, and here, get these orthotics in a set of steak knives.
Yeah.
So the thing they've got to do is really tacky to actually attract people's attentions, and that's not the case.
No, I think that's a good point. And I think it's also one of those things. I think a lot of us that go into medicine or even into podiatry, we kind of on a very kind of narrow path, right? University, podiatry school, residency in the US for us, and then, try to get a prestigious job in a way. And, it's kind of this achievement along the way that makes you feel like that's how you're going to earn, you're going to be the best. So the patients are going to see the best and they're somehow magically every patient's going to know about who provides the best foot and ankle care locally because, you got A plus in biomechanics, right? So you're going to make the
Yeah.
best orthotics, right? So it's a bit of a switch to kind of go from this kind of very narrow path, academic, you know, you're not necessarily, you're worried about the academics, you're worried about the clinical skills. You're not always so focused on the business aspect of things. And like I said, it can be a big shift because, especially when people get into a private practice setting, whether it's it's going to vary, right? If you're in an academic setting or if you're in a huge group practice, maybe this is not something that you have interest with, but the moment you decide that you want to have a private practice of your own, you basically sign up for two businesses. You sign up, two professions in a way. You become,
Yeah.
a doctor, a podiatrist, and you become an entrepreneur in a way. And not everybody feels as comfortable wearing both hats at the same time. Like I said, some people try to wear that academic hat while in a private practice, and it's really to their detriment because you're in a business and trying to kind of balance that business along with the clinical and, podiatric medical skills at the same time is it's a bit of a disconnect for some people.
Yeah, it always reminds me of there was a podiatrist in town. I've mentioned it on this podcast and my other podcast numerous times. I should buy the guy a gift every year and just send it to him as a thank you for keeping me fired up through my whole career. But at an event, there's a group of general practitioners there. I'm talking away. He walks over and he says, "Unlike some podiatrists, I don't need to market my business," and walked away. In those days, I was doing a lot of marketing in different areas, TV, radio, print. This is well before online became like a popular platform. And he walked, and they all looked at me and said, "You know, he's having a go at you." I went, "Oh yeah." Anyway, didn't worry about it. I just kept doing my own thing. You go ahead 20 years, his clinic is pretty much non-existent, working in some little back room, some down dark alleyway, and I wouldn't send my dog to get him to clip the toenails. That's how bad I think he is. And but yeah, he is. His clinic is almost non-existent, and my clinic absolutely just boomed and grew over that 20-year period until I eventually sold it. So just to say it doesn't work, or to have that attitude that marketing doesn't work or marketing is evil, I think is holding some podiatrists back, and they've got to get over it.
Yeah, I think it's like we talked on a similar episode where it's, people think that marketing is this one thing, right? It's just that Google ads, it's just that Facebook ad, it's
Yeah.
just this, the newspaper or the television thing. But like you talked about, you do learn those, professional clinical skills. You have to have those things. Those are almost kind of a given, right? But treating patients well, providing great care, that's the foundation of good marketing is, providing value to your patients. But there is, that stepwise and those other opportunities out there that, some people are just not, they just don't feel comfortable with, right? I think part of it is, at least in the US, it could be because a lot of our residencies now are associated with hospitals. I think there are residencies that do a good job of incorporating private practices and spending time with people in private practice. So you get a little bit of an idea, but it can be sometimes tough. You're, at least in the US, you're working, when I was in residency, you're working like 50, 60 hours a week. That time you have to go into work in somebody's private practice. I got to do that a few times.
Yeah.
You didn't have ownership of it, right? So you saw it maybe happen. You were kind of participating in it, but until you're kind of sitting in the chair or it's, you're the owner, it becomes a lot more real at that point, right? And, like we talked about, sometimes you do have an opportunity to learn some of these, some basic skills within podiatry school, but until you're really sitting there, figuring out what you want to be an expert in, what you want to be seen by your local, what kind of care you want to have coming your way, it's tough to know. And if you don't have those, there's definitely ways to learn, like, listening to this podcast, a way to bone up on some of these skills when we talk about Google search ads or Facebook ads or just general SEO techniques and things like that to get better. So you can take that information and, search Google and look for some good other content, either on your website or my website and some other places. But I think it's one of those things where it has to be kind of an action that people are willing to take to learn a base level of knowledge. But then, with running a practice, with, also taking care of your patients, it's one of those things that it's well done on the list. And if it's not delegated, or it's a real passion for the podiatrist in the practice, then it's sometimes forgotten. I think that can be a real detriment to people's practice.
Yeah, it's true, because if someone's very busy looking after their team, doing accounts, making sure you have the money, looking at their numbers, they're working as a podiatrist as well, they don't always have a lot of time to do marketing. I think that's why they push it aside a little bit and they go, I'm not really into marketing. But I think people will say that for two reasons. Or they don't have time to do it, which is why they should then reach out to other people and get help, whether it's from you or I, or they do marketing. So it's easy to say, I don't like marketing, than to say to people, I know, I have no idea what I'm doing.
No, for sure.
And you, like, say, for example, putting an ad in the newspaper, putting an ad online is not marketing. That's a platform, but the font, the photo that goes with it, the colors you choose, the day of the week, where it's positioned, that is marketing. Marketing is what makes it work, not the actual just putting an ad somewhere.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges too is practice. Even if they are super entrepreneurial, right? Is that, we're kind of on this like hero's journey, like the hero in our own, movie or our own story. And
Yeah.
at least for a long time, a lot of people, at least the American dream or the way we sometimes think in the US is that like you kind of pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, right? And you're kind of this like, you don't want to show weakness. You don't like your teachers along the way, but all of a sudden when you finish residency, you should have it all figured out. But that's not the case. And I think, with your people like yourself providing coaching, business coaching, really helping people continue to develop those skills while they're in practice is hugely valuable because whether it's through someone like you or working with a colleague, or maybe it's a conversation with another person in practice, having kind of a mentor, or just people going through similar things you do, having those 30-minute conversations or an hour conversation It's hugely important because you don't want to get stuck in this like going it alone mentality, you against the world. Because if you do that,
Mm.
you're going to close yourself off to information, to help, to learning other people's experiences. So I know for a fact, like, like even when I was in practice for a while, there's a period of time where I felt alone on on a practice island where I didn't necessarily want to ask for help. I should know everything. So, it was when I kind of asked for help or, got some mentorship within my group that really, it kind of unburdened me in ways that were really beneficial. So whether it's, marketing skills or business skills, getting some mentorship, I think those things are really, really valuable. And I know the time is valuable, but spending time doing these things can be hugely beneficial, not only professionally, but also personally.
I think you have to be in the game. It's like I said, if you don't have the answers, you go and search for the answers. And I think sometimes that's the difference between when you work on, say, with someone individually like myself or with you, whereas some people want to be part of, like, say, big group coaching organizations. I think that will help with the marketing because they're going to feed off of like a number of people. But they don't realize sometimes in even some of those big groups, some of them aren't very clever. There's just other people who just aren't very clever. And if you go in there, you got to make sure you're directed towards the right, or you're getting the right information from the right people.
I totally agree there. I think there's the of having some group coaching, but until you have someone that's really like one-on-one with you who understands your situation, your knowledge, like if you go to a group coaching session and you're either well below or well above somebody's knowledge base and they're bombarding the speaker with a lot of like questions that you already know, whether you know it or not,
Yeah.
probably turn your brain off and you're probably going to miss that next good question. So was it really worth that time to be in a big group when you can really work with someone one-on-one who's listening to your needs, your practice, and your expectations? So I'm not trying to make this a Tyson and Franklin coaching sales call, but I really think that,
No,
but having a
no.
one-on-one relationship with someone who's listening to you, who can provide individualized feedback, is hugely important when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, there was a friend of mine was doing a talk at an event, and it was a marketer. And he reckons you got up there on stage and to a group of personal trainers. Got up on stage and he talked about all this stuff, and he goes, "Geez, I was good." He said, "I was so good. I came off and he got a bit of polite clapping." He said, "Anyway, the next speaker gets up and says, 'You should all have individual business cards.'" And he's going, "You are kidding me. Yeah, this is the information you need to have a business card." Anyway, he said the most basic information got a standing ovation. He said, as he came off, everyone stood up and cheered as he was. He's going, and everybody is at different levels. And because he'd been doing marketing for so long, he was thinking at a way higher level than what the average person was. And I think there's sometimes the benefit of when you're doing marketing with someone one-on-one is they can figure out where are you at. And then based on where you're at, they go, "Okay, you're pretty switched on. This is where we need to head." Or, "Okay, you don't know the basics. Have you got a business card?" And and then what to do. And you're doing really comfortable. I've had a lot of people I work with for a period of time who then go off and do group coaching. Don't know why. So we go from here.
So kind of when I think about podiatry marketing, about marketing in general, there's kind of like
Yeah.
four things that are really, taking some of this open loop stuff I've heard about previously. But there's four things that I really think about that, when I got into marketing, but also when I see kind of what it can do for people in a positive way. It's not you bragging about yourself. It's not like
Yeah.
you being an interruption for people. But when I think about it, the first thing is visibility for kind of all the care that you provide, right? So, it's easy for us to sit in our practice and know what our skill set is, to know what kind of patients we want to see, and just wonder why no one is coming. Why don't we have more of those patients or more of those procedures? But it really comes down to visibility and basically being visible to your patients through a great website, through whether it's Google search ads, whether it's video, but just whether it's Google reviews, encouraging those types of things to happen. Just provide an overall visibility for the care you want to provide, the different procedures you want to do, and the type of patients you want to treat. So, to me, marketing is a way to provide patients or people in your local area that visibility into what your ideal practice is, so they can either say, yes, this clinic is right for me. I want to go there. It seemed like an expert. I want to see someone who treats runners, or no, like I've got a diabetic foot wound. I don't want to go see that person. I think it's hugely
Yeah.
powerful to have, to utilize marketing as visibility.
Sorry, I was just getting a drink.
No worries.
Oh, no, but I think it's really important if you have a skill set that is other people in your community and you are the best person to treat a particular problem. I think it's actually wrong not to tell the public that that's what you do. And because if you've got a skill that can help people, there's people out there who need help, you don't want them going somewhere that is skilled in that area. So you're doing the community a disjustice by not, or an injustice by not letting them know that you're there.
I think
You can't keep it a secret.
no, it's no secret, Dr. T.
Yeah.
Dr. T. I think we're on this totally the same length, because you basically just read my mind. This is my second point, is that, you're not doing your local community, any favors by keeping that hidden. Like, if you are skilled at something, you provide excellent foot and ankle care in a specific subspecialty or niche of podiatry, you want them to see that, because then they can get that excellent care. It's not necessarily like this, oh, look at me, I want to make millions of dollars in my podiatry practice, like I'm going to market. No, like, you have to provide that visibility of that excellent care you provide, so you can benefit your patient. So by not being visible, you're like, you're not committing a crime, you're not doing anything bad, but more people would benefit from your special subspecialty, or that special thing that you can do that no one else is doing in your practice, or you're the best at treating runners. So, you want to be visible to that patient population. I think that's hugely, hugely important.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is exactly accurate, but I'm sure I read somewhere once that Thomas Edison, when he invented the light bulb, didn't take a patent out on it. That when he invented the light bulb, he was that about what he had invented and thought benefit from it so much, he just let have it because he thought it would totally change the world. I'm not sure if that's exactly accurate or not. If it's not, it's a damn good story. But to me, if you've got a skill, you can't keep it a secret. You've got to tell everybody that it's basically there, because you can actually help them. You can, there's probably somebody out there right now who, if they can get in contact with you, you can add 10 years to their life because you can keep them moving.
No, I totally agree. I think that's a great point. I think it's, you're kind of, you're kind of providing hope and opportunities for to improve people's lives. And I think that's a really important thing. And part of what marketing to me as well is like, it's basically kind of building trust, right? Like, you're not only building trust by offering specific services and, hopefully, more times than not providing great outcomes for people to live better lives, but also providing platforms for your patients to speak for you. So that's, in the US, you can do testimonials, things like Google reviews. But when people, reviews or testimonials, right? You don't want to get your assistant, your mom, your girlfriend, and your sister to come, leave testimonials on your website, which, I think some people are concerned when they see testimonials that they've got to be fake. But, if there's enough testimonials, if there's enough Google reviews, you can have a couple negative Google reviews, but other people speaking, that you are trustworthy, that you do provide care. That's what marketing is to me as well. It's an opportunity for that kind of digital word of mouth, because we all want word of mouth marketing, right? But how can you kind of ignite some of that trust building and that digital word of mouth? And that marketing your practice allows the kind of a platform for that to happen.
So what's the third thing that you were going to talk about?
Well, so number one was visibility. Number two was, showing patients all the excellent care you provide, provide your local community excellent care. Number three was kind of building trust by, whether it's, not only providing great care, but giving patients a platform to do so.
Was that number three? Did you not say number three? Did you? Because you were talking about that.
No,
did I not hear you say number three is?
No. So number three was like that build trust. So, but but maybe number four, I'll just hold off on until next episode.
Well, you're leaving an open loop, and then you can tell a couple of stories. That was last week's episode about open loops.
Yeah. Well,
so you're now leaving an open. Maybe you don't tell anyone the fourth. If they want to know the fourth one, they can send you an email.
I'll leave a dramatic pause because I'm always trying to speak too fast. But no, I think So we'll jump into the fourth one. Now we'll try the open loop close in a different one. But I think number 4 is really important because, like I talked about, when you're in podiatry practice or, podiatry education and residency, you're kind of on this narrow road, right? And I think sometimes when you become a business owner, an entrepreneur, it's something that you and I can experience, Tyson. There's not one right way to go help somebody or to get a new client or to work with someone. So there's a bit of uncertainty. And whether it's an open loop or just life in general, us humans, we kind of crave some way to have an impact on the world around us. And by doing marketing, by becoming visible with all the care you provide, you're taking an action step and you're exerting some control over your own destiny, your own practice. Not to get too like philosophical, but you are kind of making a dent and putting things out there and kind of, showing that you want to be seen for something, or you're not just kind of like waiting for it to fall on your lap. I think that's the thing that we talked about earlier. Like, sometimes you just feel like, hey, I've worked, I went to undergrad, I went to residency, I went to podiatry school. When is it my turn? It's just going to fall on my lap, right? It's just going to I'm going to open the doors. The patients are going to charge through into the treatment rooms, and they're just going to be busy doing all the care that I want to do every single day of the year. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. But I think if you don't leave it to chance and you take some action to exert control over your situation, not only is it a financially or a thing that's beneficial to your patient, but it's also beneficial to you personally, that that you're kind of putting your best effort forward to provide great care to your patient, but also to build a thriving practice.
Yeah, well, I hope everyone takes this on board and just like if they've every episode from all the way through to what we're up to now, which is actually episode 65. So if somebody has listened to all 65 episodes and they're listening to this now, I would say they're convinced that marketing is not a dirty word.
I hope so.
If they still think marketing is a dirty word, wait till next week's episode. Even look, there's the cliffhanger.
I like it. For
next week's episode. Yeah. So have you got to add to this before we wrap up?
No, that's all you got for me this week, Tyson.
Well, wait till you hear next week's episode. It is a
wow. I'm sitting on the edge of my chair right now.
Only the anticipation. So, okay, Jim, great talking to you, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
Okay, Tyson.